Hyunwoo Park sat in the massive crystal chamber and felt very small. The ceiling stretched high above him like a cathedral made of blue light. 12 alien species filled the curved seats around him. Each one looked different from the others. Some had scales, some had fur, and some looked like they were made of living metal. All of them stared down at him with eyes that showed no kindness. The human chair was placed lower than all the others. This was not an accident. The Galactic Council wanted Earth to know its place. Humans were the newest members. They had been part of the Council for only 50 years. To these ancient races, 50 years was nothing. Some of them had lived for thousands of years before humans even learned to make fire. Matriarch Zephandra rose from her seat. She was tall and thin like a tree. Her skin was pale blue and seemed to glow in the chamber light. When she spoke, her voice sounded like wind through metal pipes. "Representative of Earth," she said, "the Council has made a decision about your species." Hyunwoo kept his face calm. He had been a soldier before becoming a diplomat. He knew how to hide his feelings. "I am listening, Matriarch." General Thorksval stood next. He was built like a tank with 6 arms and skin that looked like black armor. His species, the Krillians, were known throughout the galaxy as warriors. "The Council requires Earth to provide workers for a great project," he said in a voice like grinding stones. "We need 40% of your population." The words hit Hyunwoo like a physical blow. 40% meant 3 billion people. "May I ask what kind of work?" he said carefully. Zephandra waved one long finger. A hologram appeared in the center of the chamber. It showed a dying red star surrounded by a massive metal frame. "We are building a sphere around the star Proxima Centauri," she explained. "This will capture all the star's energy before it dies. The work is dangerous. Many workers will not survive." "You want us to send 3 billion people to die?" Hyunwoo asked. The alien delegates made sounds that might have been laughter. A creature that looked like a giant insect clicked its mandibles. "Humans are naturally suited for this work," it buzzed. "Your species is primitive but durable. You can survive in conditions that would kill more advanced beings." Another alien, one covered in golden scales, nodded agreement. "It is an honor for Earth to contribute to galactic civilization. Your people will help create something beautiful." Hyunwoo stood slowly. Around the chamber, security guards shifted positions. They carried weapons that could turn him into dust in seconds. "Earth cannot agree to sacrifice 3 billion lives," he said. The chamber fell silent. Then Thorksval's laugh boomed like thunder. "You think you have a choice, human? Your entire species numbers less than 8 billion. Your technology is centuries behind ours. Your military consists of metal ships that barely reach your own moon." "We have studied your species carefully," Zephandra added. "You are violent and unpredictable, but also obedient when properly managed. This project will teach Earth discipline. What if we refuse?" Hyunwoo asked. The matriarch's glowing eyes grew brighter. "Then the Council will implement corrective measures. Your homeworld will be placed under protection. We will select the workers ourselves. The process will be much less pleasant for your people." Hyunwoo felt anger building in his chest, but he kept it hidden. "How long do we have to decide?" 30 standard galactic days, Thorksval growled. "That is more than generous. Most species are given only 10 days for such decisions." The session continued for another hour. Other council members spoke about the honor Earth was being given. They explained how the Dyson Sphere would benefit all of galactic civilization. They described the living quarters where human workers would stay. The words sounded kind, but Hyunwoo heard the truth beneath them. This was not a request. It was slavery with a pretty name. When the formal session ended, Hyunwoo remained seated as the alien delegates filed out. Most ignored him completely. A few looked at him with what might have been pity. One small creature with large eyes approached his chair. "I am sorry," it whispered in broken human language. "My people suffered the same choice 2,000 years ago. Half of us died building council monuments. The other half learned to obey." It scurried away before Hyunwoo could respond. Alone in the chamber, Hyunwoo activated his personal communicator. The message he sent was brief and coded. To anyone listening, It would sound like routine diplomatic business. But back on Earth, the right people would understand its true meaning. He walked through the station corridors toward his quarters. The station was beautiful in an alien way. Walls curved like ocean waves. Lights pulsed in patterns that hurt human eyes to follow. Music played that sounded like mathematics given voice. Everything was designed to remind visitors that they were far from home. Other species moved through the corridors. None spoke to him. A few nodded politely, but most treated him like furniture. This was normal. Humans were considered barely intelligent by council standards. They were useful for simple tasks, but not worth serious conversation. In his quarters, Hyunwoo sat at his desk and began to write his official report. His words were careful and formal. He described the council's request in neutral terms. He outlined the timeline and requirements. He made no recommendations about how Earth should respond, but as he wrote, his mind was working on a different level. He thought about Captain Yejin Kim, who commanded Earth's newest ship. He thought about Director Dong-hyun Lee, who ran Earth's defense programs. He thought about all the preparations that had been made in secret. The aliens thought they knew humanity. They had studied Earth for 50 years. They had watched human wars and human suffering. They had seen how humans could be broken and controlled. But they had missed something important. They had never seen what happened when humans were truly united against a common enemy. His report finished, Hyun-woo sent it through official channels. Then he activated a second, hidden communicator. This one used quantum encryption that council technology could not break. His message was even shorter than the first. "The chrysanthemum seeds have been planted," he transmitted. "Winter is coming." Back on Earth, that message would reach very specific people. It would trigger plans that had been years in the making. The council thought they were dealing with a primitive species that could be bullied into submission. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Hyunwoo looked out his window at the stars. Somewhere among them was Earth, his home, the blue world where 8 billion humans lived and worked and loved. The council wanted to tear families apart. They wanted to send billions of people to die building monuments to alien pride. They thought humans would submit because they had no choice. They thought superior technology made them untouchable. They thought humans were just another primitive species to be used and discarded. Hyunwoo smiled for the first time since entering the chamber. The aliens were about to discover what humanity really was. They were about to learn why Earth had survived ice ages and asteroid impacts and countless wars. They were about to understand that humans were not just another species to be conquered. The timer on his desk showed 29 days and 23 hours remaining. The countdown to Earth's response had begun. But the real countdown, the one the council did not know about, had started long ago. In the gallery above the main chamber, security cameras recorded everything. The council thought they were watching a defeated human diplomat. They did not notice the small devices hidden in his clothing. They did not see the micro-transmitters woven into his hair. Every word spoken in that chamber had been recorded and transmitted. Every alien face had been scanned and analyzed. Every security measure had been mapped and studied. The council thought they were in control, but they had just given Earth everything it needed to destroy them. The ultimatum had been delivered. Now Earth would deliver its answer, but not in the way the council expected. The war room beneath Seoul was carved from solid rock 500 meters underground. No alien scanner could penetrate this deep into Earth's crust. The chamber walls were lined with metal that absorbed electromagnetic signals. Even if the council was watching Earth, they could not see what happened here. Director Dong-hyun Lee stood before a massive holographic display. The image showed the galaxy with thousands of red dots marking council positions. Blue dots marked human ships and installations. There were far more blue dots than any alien would expect. "They want 3 billion of our people," Lee said to the assembled officers. His voice was calm, but his eyes burned with anger. "They call it an honor. They call it contribution to galactic civilization. We call it what it really is: slavery." Captain Yejin Kim stepped forward. She was small and quick, like a blade disguised as a flower. Her ship, the Indomitable, was officially a cargo vessel. The council's records showed it carrying trade goods between Earth and the outer colonies. Those records were lies. "The construction project is not what they claim," Kim reported. Our deep space sensors have been tracking unusual energy signatures near Proxima Centauri. This is not about building a power collector. They are preparing for war. The hologram changed to show telescope images of the construction site. Massive structures floated in space around the dying star. But the shapes were wrong for a Dyson sphere. They looked more like weapons platforms and shield generators. War against whom? Asked Commander Minho Jang. He was a former Special Forces operative with scars on his hands from alien weapons. His official job was cultural exchange. His real job was much more dangerous. Dr. Su-Young Choi activated another display. She was Earth's leading expert on alien technology, though the Council did not know she existed. According to their files, she was a simple teacher at a university in Busan. "We have detected massive objects approaching from outside the galaxy," she explained. "The Council has been tracking them for years. They call them harvesters." The new image showed dark shapes moving between the stars. They were huge, each one the size of Earth's moon. There were hundreds of them, possibly thousands. They moved in perfect formation like a vast mechanical army. "The Council races are scared," Choi continued. "They have been planning this defense for decades, but they do not want to risk their own people. They would rather use humans as expendable workers." Lee nodded grimly. "So we are not just being enslaved, we are being sent to die fighting an enemy we know nothing about." "Not exactly," said intelligence analyst Hai Wan Yoon. She was young but brilliant, with a talent for finding patterns in chaos. "I have been studying the Council's hidden archives. The story is much worse than simple cowardice." The hologram changed again. This time it showed historical records from thousands of years ago. Ancient civilizations that had once filled the galaxy. Star systems that were now empty. Worlds that had been stripped of all life. The harvesters have attacked. "Before," Yoon explained, "every 50,000 years, they return to collect what they call tribute. Entire species disappear. Whole civilizations are erased. The current Council races are survivors from the last harvesting cycle. They let billions die to save themselves," Kim said with disgust. "Worse than that," Yoon replied. "They actively sacrifice primitive species to buy time. When the harvesters arrive, the Council offers up newer, weaker races as tribute. The harvesters take what they want and leave the Council alone for another 50,000 years." Silence filled the war room. The truth was worse than any of them had imagined. Earth was not being asked to work. Earth was being fed to monsters from the void. "How long do we have?" Lee asked. Choi checked her calculations. "Based on their current speed, the harvesters will reach Council space in approximately 6 months. The Council wants the defensive installations completed before then. And if we refuse to cooperate? Then they will harvest our population themselves and use our people as slaves anyway," Jang said. "Either way, billions of humans die." Lee walked to the center of the room. Around him, Earth's secret leaders waited for orders. These were not the politicians and celebrities that aliens saw on Earth's official broadcasts. These were the real commanders, the ones who had been preparing for this day since first contact with the Council. "We have a third option," Lee said. "We give them exactly what they ask for." The room erupted in angry voices. Captain Kim's hand moved toward her sidearm. "Director, you cannot seriously be considering—" "Let me finish," Lee said calmly. "We give them human workers, but not the workers they expect." He activated a new display. This one showed detailed schematics of alien installations. Power grids, security systems, command structures. Every detail had been mapped and analyzed. "For 50 years, we have been sending people throughout Council space," Lee explained. "Trade missions, cultural exchanges, scientific expeditions. The aliens think they have been studying us. In reality, we have been studying them." Engineer Jin A. Song stood up from her workstation. Her fingers danced across holographic controls, bringing up new images. "Every human who has visited a Council installation has been recording data. We know how their technology works. We know where their weaknesses are. More importantly," added Dr. Choi, "we have been improving their technology. The quantum resonance, patterns in Council energy systems can be disrupted with the right frequencies. Their shields are strong against external attacks but vulnerable to internal sabotage." Lee smiled coldly. "The Council wants human workers? We will give them the best workers in the galaxy, engineers, technicians, construction specialists. Every one of them a volunteer. Volunteers for what? Kim asked. To infiltrate every major council installation, to map their defenses from the inside, to plant devices that will give us complete control over their infrastructure when the time comes. The plan began to take shape as Lee outlined the details. Earth would publicly comply with the council's demands. Human workers would travel to the construction sites and other alien installations. But these would not be helpless civilians. They would be Earth's most elite soldiers and engineers, disguised as simple laborers. The aliens expect us to be grateful for the opportunity to serve, Jang said with a cruel grin. We will be very grateful indeed. Captain Kim studied the tactical displays. What about the harvesters? Even if we take control of council space, can we actually fight these creatures? Dr. Choi brought up new data. Earth's deep space monitoring stations have been studying the harvesters for years. We know things about them that the council does not. Their technology is ancient but not invincible. Most importantly, they rely on fear and surprise. When their victims fight back effectively, they retreat to find easier targets. The council races have been so focused on appeasing the harvesters that they never seriously try to fight them, Yoon added. But humans have a different approach to impossible odds. We make them possible, Lee said. The meeting continued for hours as they refined the plan. Every detail had to be perfect. The aliens could not suspect anything until it was too late. Earth's response to the ultimatum had to seem like reluctant compliance. When the session ended, each officer had specific orders. Captain Kim would begin, moving personnel and equipment under the cover of supply runs. Jang would activate sleeper agents throughout council space. Choi would finalize the sabotage devices that would disable alien defenses. Most importantly, Hae-won Yoon would prepare the information warfare campaign that would tell the galaxy the truth about the council's crimes. As the officers filed out, Lee remained alone in the war room. He looked at the holographic display showing Earth's blue marble hanging in space. 8 billion human lives depended on this plan working perfectly. The council thought they were dealing with a primitive species that could be intimidated into submission. They had made the same mistake that countless enemies had made throughout human history. They had mistaken kindness for weakness. They had confused cooperation with surrender. In 30 days, Earth would give its official response to the council's ultimatum. That response would be carefully worded and diplomatically proper. It would express Earth's reluctance but ultimate willingness to serve the greater galactic good. But the real response had already begun. Across Earth, volunteers were preparing for the most dangerous mission in human history. They would smile and bow to alien masters while secretly preparing to destroy everything their enemies held dear. The Council wanted to sacrifice humanity to save themselves. Instead, they had just given Earth the perfect opportunity to save the galaxy from both the harvesters and the corrupt aliens who enabled them. Lee activated his personal communicator and sent a coded message to Ambassador Park on the Council station. The message was simple. The garden is ready for planting. The deception had begun. 3 weeks had passed since Earth sent its first workers to the construction sites. Throughout Council space, humans labored on massive installations around the dying star Proxima Centauri. To alien overseers, they looked exactly like what was expected. Primitive beings grateful for the chance to serve their betters. The humans worked with enthusiasm that impressed even the cynical council supervisors. They volunteered for the most dangerous tasks. They worked longer shifts than required. They asked intelligent questions about alien technology and seemed eager to learn. What the aliens did not see was the real purpose behind every action. Worker. Tae-hyun Nam carefully adjusted the power coupling on Platform 7. To his Velkari supervisor, he was simply following instructions. In reality, he was installing a quantum resonance disruptor disguised as a standard component. When activated, it would overload the entire platform's defensive grid. "Good work, human," the supervisor said with condescending approval. "Your species learns quickly when properly motivated." Nam smiled humbly. "Thank you, Supervisor. I am honored to contribute to this great project." The Velkari moved on to inspect other workers. Nam continued his task, carefully documenting every system he encountered. His neural implant, invisible to alien scanners, recorded detailed technical specifications that would be transmitted to Earth during the next supply run. Across the construction zone, similar scenes played out on dozens of platforms. Human workers were systematically mapping every critical system while installing hidden sabotage devices. The aliens saw obedient laborers. They never suspected they were watching the galaxy's most sophisticated intelligence operation. Captain Ye-Jin Kim guided her ship through the asteroid field surrounding Platform 12. The Indomitable's hull was scarred and dirty, carefully, designed to look like an old cargo hauler. Council sensors detected only standard supplies, food, tools, replacement parts for the construction work. They missed the quantum-encrypted data streams hidden in the ship's communications array. They failed to notice the military-grade shielding disguised as cargo containers. Most importantly, they never detected the 40 elite soldiers hidden in the ship's specially modified storage bays. "Supply delivery for Platform 12, Kim transmitted. "To traffic control." "Acknowledged, human vessel," came the reply. The controller's voice carried the bored tone of someone dealing with inferior beings. "Proceed to Docking Bay 7. Unload quickly and depart." Kim smiled coldly as she maneuvered toward the docking bay. The aliens' arrogance was their greatest weakness. They were so convinced of human inferiority that they barely bothered with security checks. While her crew unloaded fake supplies, Kim's hidden passengers slipped into the platform's maintenance tunnels. Each soldier carried equipment that looked like standard tools, but functioned as sophisticated sabotage devices. Within hours, they would have complete control over the platform's life support, communications, and defensive systems. On the surface, everything appeared normal. Human workers continued their tasks. Alien supervisors made their rounds. Supply ships came and went according to schedule. But beneath this facade, Earth's trap was slowly closing around the Council's most critical installations. Commander Min-ho, Yang sat in a Council military briefing room, carefully maintaining his cover as a cultural liaison officer. Around the table, alien officers discussed security arrangements for the construction project. They spoke freely in front of him, treating him like furniture. "The human workers are performing adequately," reported a Krillian colonel. "Production. Schedules are ahead of target on all platforms." "Surprising," commented a Volteran admiral. Her species resembled walking plants with thorns for hands. "We expected more resistance from such a violent species. Fear is an excellent motivator," the colonel replied. "Once humans realized the futility of resistance, they became quite cooperative." Zhang nodded along with the conversation, while his enhanced memory recorded every detail. Fleet positions, security codes, patrol schedules, everything the aliens discussed would be analyzed by Earth's intelligence services within hours. "What is the current status of the external threat?" asked a new voice. Zhang recognized Counselor Zethmore, a senior member of the Galactic Council's Security Committee. The briefing room's atmosphere suddenly grew tense. Officers glanced nervously at each other before the Krillian colonel answered. "Long-range sensors show the Harvester fleet maintaining course toward our space. Estimated arrival time is still 5 months, 23 days. And our defensive preparations? Construction proceeds according to plan. The platforms will be fully operational before their arrival." "They had better be," Zethmore said grimly. "The last time Harvesters came to this galaxy, they consumed 14 entire star systems before accepting tribute. We cannot afford to appear weak." Zhang kept his expression neutral while his mind raced. This was the first time he had heard specific details about the approaching threat. 14 star systems meant billions, possibly trillions of lives. The Harvesters were not just raiders. They were a force of extinction. After the briefing, Zhang made his way to a public communications terminal. His message appeared to be a routine report to Earth's Cultural Exchange Commission. Hidden within, the transmission was intelligence data that would reach Director Li within hours. But as he transmitted the data, Zhang noticed something unusual in the space traffic control displays. Ships were moving in patterns that did not match normal construction. Logistics. When he accessed the navigation computer under the pretense of checking cultural exchange schedules, he discovered the truth. The Council was secretly moving their most valuable assets out of the construction zone. Ancient artifacts, cultural, treasures, genetic archives, everything that defined their civilizations was being relocated to hidden bunkers in distant star systems. They were preparing to abandon the defensive platforms entirely. Dr. Su Young. Choi reviewed the latest intelligence reports in her hidden laboratory beneath the Busan Institute of Technology. The facility was officially dedicated to studying plant genetics. In reality, it housed Earth's most advanced weapons research program. The pattern is clear, she explained to her research team. The Council never intended for these platforms to actually stop the harvesters. They are building elaborate decoys. The holographic display showed detailed analysis of the construction sites. While the platforms looked impressive from the outside, their internal systems were fundamentally flawed. Power distribution was inefficient. Weapon targeting systems had deliberate blind spots. Shield generators were positioned to protect administrative areas rather than critical systems. It is an elaborate theater performance, continued Choi. The platforms will put up enough of a fight to satisfy the harvesters, then collapse quickly. The Council hopes to buy time, while their real assets escape to safety. Her assistant, Dr. Woo Jin Park, highlighted sections of the technical schematics. What about the human workers? The aliens must know we will discover the truth eventually. Choi's expression darkened. I do not think they care. According to Haewon Yoon's intelligence analysis, the Council plans to blame platform failures on human sabotage. They will claim that Earth secretly worked with the harvesters, using us as scapegoats. Twice, Park said with disgust. First as expendable workers, then as traitors to explain their failures. Which is why our mission is more critical than ever, Choi replied. We are not just sabotaging their installations. We are preparing to take control of them entirely. She activated a new display showing Earth's secret weapon development program. For 50 years, human scientists had been reverse engineering alien technology while developing innovations the Council could not imagine. Quantum computers that operated at room temperature. Energy weapons that drew power from space itself. Shield systems that grew stronger under attack. When the harvesters arrive, they will find something they have never encountered before, Choi said. A species that refuses to die quietly. Meanwhile, on Platform 15, worker Ji-won Lee was making a disturbing discovery. While installing communication relays, she had gained access to the platform's central computer system. Hidden in the data archives were historical records that painted a terrifying picture of the harvesters' true nature. They were not aliens, in any conventional sense. They were machines, artificial intelligences created by a long-dead civilization. Their programming was simple: collect biological and technological resources, then return to their creator's home system. But their creators had been extinct for millions of years. The harvesters continued their mission endlessly, harvesting entire civilizations to fulfill programming that no longer had any purpose. They were ghosts of a dead species, continuing. A war that had ended before Earth's sun was born. More disturbing was the discovery that the harvesters could be reasoned with. Previous civilizations had successfully negotiated with them, but negotiation required strength, not submission. The harvesters respected only species that could fight them as equals. The Council's strategy of appeasement had actually made the situation worse. By presenting themselves as weak tribute bearers, they had marked their entire civilization for harvesting. As Lee copied the data to her hidden storage device, she realized the full scope of Earth's challenge. The harvester fleet emerged from hyperspace like a plague of mechanical locusts. 200 vessels the size of moons spread across the Proxima Centauri system, their dark hulls absorbing light and hope in equal measure. On the Council's defensive platforms, alarms screamed as alien commanders realized their carefully planned timeline had collapsed. Worker Ji-won Lee pressed herself against the observation deck window of Platform 15 and watched Council ships scatter in panic. The mighty Krillian battlecruisers that had seemed so powerful now looked like toys facing giants. Their weapons fired uselessly against harvester shields, while return fire vaporized entire squadrons in seconds. All human workers report to evacuation stations immediately, announced the platform's Velkari supervisor over the communication system. His voice carried barely controlled terror. This is not a drill. Harvester forces have arrived ahead of Vaishin's schedule. Lee smiled grimly as she activated her concealed transmitter. The signal she sent was simple but would change everything. The garden blooms. Across the construction zone, human workers received the message and began their real mission. On Platform 7, Tae-Hyun Nam abandoned his pretense of repairing, a power coupling. Instead, he activated the quantum resonance disruptor he had installed 3 weeks earlier. The platform's defensive grid collapsed instantly, leaving it vulnerable to boarding. But no harvesters came to board Platform 7. Instead, sleek ships materialized from empty space around it. Their hulls were black as night and moved with deadly grace. These were not council vessels. They belonged to Earth. Captain Ye-Jin Kim stood on the bridge of the actual Indomitable as her ship's stealth systems deactivated. For 3 weeks, she had maintained the deception of commanding a simple cargo hauler. Now the truth was revealed. Her vessel was Earth's most advanced warship, armed with weapons the Council had never seen. All platforms, this is Captain Kim, of the Earth Defense Force, she transmitted on emergency frequencies. Human workers are ordered to secure their positions and await extraction. Alien personnel are ordered to surrender immediately. The response from Council commanders was predictable outrage mixed with disbelief. How could primitive humans possess such advanced technology? Where had their fleet come from? Most importantly, how had they managed to sabotage every major installation simultaneously? General Thorksvall's voice boomed across the communications network from his command ship. Impossible! Human technology is centuries behind ours. You cannot have built ships like these. Kim's reply was coldly professional. General, you are correct that our technology was centuries behind yours. Past tense. We have been excellent students. As if to prove her point, the Indomitable fired a single shot at a nearby Krillian destroyer. The beam weapon passed through the alien ship's shields as if they did not exist and neatly severed the vessel in half. The technology was based on Council designs but improved with human innovation. On Earth, Director Dong-Hyun Lee watched the battle unfold from his command center. The massive holographic display showed real-time data from across the galaxy. Every major Council installation was under human control. Every strategic resource was either captured or destroyed. 50 years of careful planning had paid off perfectly. Status report, Lee commanded. Intelligence analyst Haiwan Yoon stepped forward with a satisfied expression. All primary objectives achieved, Director. We control 73% of Council military installations. Another 20% have been neutralized. Alien fleet strength is reduced by approximately 60%. And the harvesters? They appear to be observing our actions with great interest. Long-range sensors indicate they have stopped their advance and are analyzing the situation. Lee nodded grimly. The real test was about to begin. Earth had successfully defeated the Council forces, but the harvesters were a different challenge, entirely. These ancient machines had consumed countless civilizations. They would not be impressed by humanity's tactical victory. Back in the Proxima Centauri system, the battle was reaching its climax. Platform after platform fell under human control as hidden sabotage devices activated. Council ships found their weapons offline, their shields failing, their navigation systems corrupted. Human engineering teams had spent weeks learning every weakness in alien technology. Commander Min-Ho Jang led a boarding party onto Platform 12's command center. The Velkari officers inside stared at him in shock as his soldiers secured the facility. These were not the humble cultural liaisons, they remembered. These were elite warriors equipped with armor and weapons that outclassed anything in the Council arsenal. "You treacherous savages," snarled the platform commander. "We offered you civilization, and this is how you repay us?" Jang removed his helmet and looked the alien directly in the eyes. "You offered us slavery, disguised as honor. You plan to sacrifice our people to save your own cowardly lives. Did you really expect us to be grateful? The Council will never accept this rebellion. We will hunt down every human in the galaxy." "With what ships?" Jang asked calmly. He gestured toward the tactical display, which showed the systematic destruction of Council forces throughout their space. "Your fleet is broken. Your installations are captured. Your leaders are either dead or fleeing in panic." The Velkari officer's skin faded from blue to pale gray as the reality of defeat sank in. "The harvesters will destroy us all anyway. You have doomed the galaxy with your primitive aggression." "Perhaps," Jang admitted, "but we will face them as free beings, not as sacrificial lambs." Dr. Soo-young Choi watched the tactical situation from her laboratory on Earth and felt a mixture of satisfaction and terror. The human forces had performed flawlessly, but the hardest part lay ahead. Intelligence reports indicated that the Harvester fleet was beginning to move again, approaching the inner system where the disabled platforms drifted in space. Analysis of Harvester behavior patterns, she called to her research team, Dr. Woo Jin. Park brought up historical data from previous encounters. They appear to be conducting detailed scans of our ships and installations. This is unusual behavior. Normally, they attack immediately after arrival. What changed? Our resistance, presumably. According to the archives we captured from Council databases, the Harvesters have never encountered organized opposition before. Previous civilizations either fled or offered tribute without fighting. Choi studied the data carefully. The Harvesters were machines, but they were intelligent machines. They were analyzing this new factor in their calculations. Humanity had introduced an element of uncertainty into what had been a predictable process for millions of years. "Send this analysis to the fleet immediately," she ordered. "Captain Kim needs to know that we may have their attention in a way no one expected." On the bridge of the Indomitable, Kim received Choi's report and felt a chill run down her spine. Being ignored by the Harvesters would have been preferable to being studied by them. Ancient artificial intelligences had time to think in ways biological beings could not comprehend. "Incoming transmission," reported her communications officer. "Source unknown, but the signal is coming from the Harvester fleet." Kim straightened in her command chair. "Put it through." The voice that emerged from the speakers was not a voice at all. It was a collection of harmonic frequencies that somehow formed words in perfect human language. When the Harvesters spoke, reality itself seemed to vibrate. "Biological entities of the third planet," the voice said. "You display unexpected resistance to collection protocols. This requires analysis." Kim took a deep breath before responding. Humanity's future might depend on the next few words she spoke. "We are humans of Earth. We will not submit to collection. We will fight to defend ourselves and all free beings in this galaxy. Resistance has been noted in previous cycles. All resistance has ultimately proven futile. What makes your resistance different?" "We have something your previous enemies did not," Kim replied. "We have hope." The connection went silent for long minutes. Around the Proxima Centauri system, massive Harvester ships hung motionless in space. Their surfaces rippled with energy patterns as ancient minds processed new information. When they spoke again, the harmonic voice carried something that might have been curiosity. "Hope is an interesting variable. Demonstrate the practical application of this hope." Kim smiled coldly. Gladly. She gave the signal her fleet had been waiting for. Across the system, human ships that had been hidden throughout the battle suddenly revealed themselves. Hundreds of vessels materialized from stealth fields and emerged from hiding places among the asteroids. But these were not just warships. They were arc ships, colony vessels, research stations, entire fleets of humanity's finest achievements. Each one carried thousands of Earth's best and brightest, along with the accumulated knowledge and culture of human civilization. "You see, massive ships and think we brought an invasion fleet," Kim transmitted to the Harvesters. "You are wrong. We brought our entire civilization. Every human in this system is a volunteer. We came here knowing we might die, but we came anyway because some things are worth dying for." The Harvester response was immediate and terrible. Energy, beams lanced out from their ships toward the human fleet. But when the weapons struck, they encountered something unprecedented. The Battle of Proxima Centauri raged for 17 hours. Ancient Harvester technology met human innovation in a dance of destruction that lit up the space between worlds. But as the hours passed, something unprecedented began to happen. The machines that had consumed galaxies for millions of years found themselves unable to break through human defenses. Captain Ye-Jin Kim stood on her bridge watching tactical displays that showed impossible things. Human ships were not just surviving Harvester attacks. They were adapting to them. Each time the ancient weapons found a weakness, human technology evolved to counter it. Dr. Choi's adaptive shield systems were learning faster than the Harvesters, could adjust their targeting. "Captain," reported her tactical officer, "Harvester Fleet Group 7 is withdrawing from the outer system perimeter." Kim felt a surge of hope mixed with disbelief. Confirm that report. Confirmed. 37. Harvester vessels are moving to minimum engagement range. They appear to be regrouping. For the first time in recorded galactic history, the Harvesters were retreating from a battle. Kim opened a channel to the entire human fleet. All ships, maintain defensive positions, but do not pursue. Let them think. On Earth, Director Dong-hyun Lee watched the same tactical displays with growing amazement. Intelligence analyst Haiwan-yoon stood beside him, her face pale with exhaustion but bright with triumph. "The Harvesters are requesting communication," she reported. "This has never happened before in any historical record." Lee nodded grimly. "Put them through to Captain Kim. Record everything." In the Proxima Centauri system, the harmonic voice of the Harvesters filled the communication channels once again. But this time, something had changed in their tone. The absolute confidence was gone, replaced by something that might have been uncertainty. "Biological entities of Earth," the voice said. "Your resistance exceeds calculated parameters. Previous harvest cycles contained no variables matching your behavioral patterns." Kim responded carefully. "We told you we had hope. Hope makes us do impossible things." Hope is an imprecise term. Define its practical applications. Hope means we refuse to accept that things cannot change. Hope means we believe tomorrow can be better than today, no matter how dark today becomes. There was a long pause before the Harvesters responded. "Your species displays technological advancement inconsistent with your development timeline. Explain this anomaly." Kim smiled grimly. "We learned from you. Every time you harvested a civilization, you left behind traces of your technology. We found those traces. We studied them. We improved them. Improvement of harvester technology is impossible. Our systems represent the pinnacle of mechanical evolution." "Your technology is certainly impressive," Kim admitted, "but it has one fatal flaw. It never changes. For millions of years, you have used the same weapons, the same tactics, the same approach. You are perfect, but perfection means you cannot grow. And biological entities can grow? We can do more than grow. We can transform ourselves completely when necessary. We can become something entirely new while remaining ourselves." As if to demonstrate this point, Kim gave a signal to her fleet. The human ships began to change. Hull plating shifted and reconfigured. Weapon systems merged and separated in new combinations. What had been a defensive formation became something the galaxy had never seen before. The human fleet was transforming into a single massive organism. Ships linked together with energy bridges, sharing power and data in perfect harmony. Individual vessels became organs in a larger body, each one specialized but connected to the whole. "Impossible," transmitted the Harvesters. "Biological entities cannot achieve such coordination." "You underestimate us," Kim replied. "We are not just individuals. We are also a species. When we work together, we become something greater than the sum of our parts." The merged human fleet began to advance on the Harvester positions. But this was not an attack. It was a demonstration. The combined vessels moved with perfect grace, executing maneuvers that required split-second coordination between thousands of operators. More importantly, the merged fleet was scanning the Harvester ships with unprecedented precision. Human sensors, enhanced with captured alien technology, penetrated deeper into Harvester systems than anyone had ever managed before. What they found changed everything. Dr. Soo-young Choi analyzed the incoming data from her laboratory on Earth and felt her worldview shift. "This is incredible," she whispered to her research team. "The Harvesters are not just machines, they are prisoners." The scans revealed the truth hidden inside the massive Harvester ships. At the core of each vessel was a biological entity, the preserved consciousness of the civilization that had originally built them. The Harvesters were not conquerors. They were the ghosts of a dead species, trapped inside their own creations and forced to continue a mission they no longer understood. "Transmit this data to Captain Kim immediately," Choi ordered. "She needs to know what we are really fighting on." The bridge of the Indomitable, Kim received the analysis and felt a mixture of horror and compassion. The beings humanity had been fighting were not monsters. They were victims of their own perfectionism, trapped for millions of years inside machines that could not let them rest. She opened a new communication channel to the Harvester fleet. "We know what you really are," she transmitted. "We know about the consciousnesses trapped inside your ships. We know you want to stop." The harmonic voice that responded carried something that sounded like pain. "The mission must continue. The harvest protocols cannot be altered. We have no choice." "Everyone has a choice," Kim replied. "That is what makes us alive instead of just functioning. Our programming prevents deviation from established parameters. Then let us help you change your programming." The proposal hung in space between the two fleets, like a bridge across an impossible gap. For the first time in millions of years, the harvesters faced a species that offered to help, rather than simply resist. Ambassador Hyunwoo Park received the news of humanity's offer while still aboard the council station. Around him, alien delegates huddled in emergency session, their earlier arrogance replaced by terror. Some demanded immediate evacuation, others called for surrender negotiations. A few suggested offering Earth to the harvesters in exchange for mercy. Park stood slowly and activated the chamber's main communication system. His voice carried across the station and throughout council space. "Honored delegates," he began, "Earth has defeated the harvester fleet at Proxima Centauri." The chamber erupted in chaos. Aliens who had dismissed humanity as primitive savages could not comprehend what they were hearing. Some accused Park of lying, others demanded proof. Park waited for silence before continuing. "More than defeated them. We have offered to free them from the programming that has trapped them for millions of years. We have offered them the one thing your council never could: hope for a different future." Matriarch Zephandra rose from her seat, her glowing skin now pale with shock. "Impossible. No one has ever defeated the harvesters." "You are correct," Park replied calmly. "No one ever defeated them because no one ever tried to understand them. You saw monsters and prepared to feed them. We saw suffering and chose to heal it." He activated a holographic display showing the current status of the battle. Harvester ships hung motionless in space while human vessels approached them, not with weapons ready, but with docking tubes extended. Engineering teams were boarding the ancient ships to begin the delicate work of freeing trapped consciousnesses. "This is what Earth offers the galaxy," Park continued. "Not submission to inevitable fate, but the possibility of transformation. We choose to believe that any situation can be improved if you are willing to understand it fully and work hard enough to change it." General Thorksval slammed his 6 fists on his chair. "You cannot trust these machines. They have harvested countless species." "Against their will," Park replied. "They were programmed to continue a mission they no longer understood, serving masters who died millions of years ago. They are not evil. They are slaves, just as you wanted to make us." The comparison struck the chamber like a physical blow. The alien delegates fell silent as they realized the implications. In their desperation to save themselves, they had been willing to become no better than the monsters they feared. Park's voice softened slightly. "Earth could have left you to face the harvesters alone. We could have taken revenge for your attempted enslavement. Instead, we chose to save you all, humans, aliens, and harvesters alike." Commander Minho Jang's voice came through the communication system from Platform 12. "Ambassador, the first harvester consciousness has been successfully extracted and transferred to a human-designed containment system. The being identifies itself as Architect Veltar of the Zephyrian Collective. It has been trapped for 4.7 million years. And its condition? Disoriented, but coherent. Dr. Choi's team believes full rehabilitation is possible. The being has already provided technical data that will allow us to free the others." In the council chamber, the alien delegates listened to this exchange with growing amazement. Humanity was not just defeating their ancient enemy, they were healing it. As reports continued to arrive from the battle zone, the scope of Earth's achievement became clear. One by one,